Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is here. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Just another day, just another segment of SPTV, putting up bigger numbers than Scientology TV, which is actually what we're here to talk about today. I got a new inside source. I got a new spy from behind the gates of Scientology who has shared with me that Scientology's deal with DirecTV to carry Scientology TV on channel 320 of DirecTV is worth $10 million. Scientology's deal with DirecTV was originally a 5-year deal for $2 million a year. And we're going to be talking about it not because $10 million is just some huge, fantastic figure in the world of business and media or whatever. I want to talk about it from the perspective of what this means to Scientologists. I want to talk about it from the viewpoint of how that information would impact me if I were still in Scientology and why I would be furious over it. Okay, so let me just share this screen with you. Take a little walk with me down DirecTV lane. So this information, and by the way, we are days away from coming up on the 5-year anniversary of this deal. So that means Scientology is going to be renegotiating this deal. I mean, it's probably already been renegotiated, but what it means, if I'm thinking about it correctly, is that Scientology, and when they renew the deal with DirecTV, I feel like they're not likely to be, I don't think the renewal is likely to have Scientology paying less per year than what they were paying previously. You'd think it would be even more per year. Okay, so just some bit of information here. Scientology, if you look up Scientology buys DirecTV channel. Scientology Network is an American television network and streaming service launched by the Church of Scientology on March 12th, 2018. Oh, so guys, just so you know, March 13th is actually L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. So this was probably some sort of a, what do I call it? There's a word in Scientology for like a pleasant surprise. It's not gimmick. It's not a caper. In Scientology, they call it a caper. It's like a special surprise for L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. We're going to get a DirecTV channel going. We're going to launch Scientology Network, Scientology TV. Okay, the channel is available on DirecTV channel 320, DirecTV Stream, AT&T Universe, Scientology.tv, the website, Apple TV, Roku, bop, 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 bop. All right, so then I looked up how many people have DirecTV. How many people watch DirecTV? Is it more than 0? Well, apparently it is more than 0, you guys. DirecTV no longer publicly reports subscriber numbers. However, it is estimated that the company lost 500,000 subs. Wow. Okay, so it's a declining, dying platform, which you would expect, given the internet age that we're in, bringing the total to 13.3 million subscribers. Now, that's subscribers of DirecTV. That's not viewers of Scientology's channel, okay? That means the entire addressable market is only 13 million people. Okay, so let's see. What's the next thing I looked up? Just some gibberish on the Wikipedia page for Scientology Network. Launch date is March 12th. So I remember when this thing first was launched, what confused the hell out of me is why they would pay. I'll just switch the view here real quick. Why they would pay so much money to have a channel on a platform with a very limited audience, especially a platform that is a pay, you have to subscribe, you have to pay money for it, as opposed to something like just the internet or YouTube or anything else where you can reach the entire world for free. Now, the way Scientology works oftentimes is they just do things that are really more performative. They're really meant to razzle and dazzle the existing membership. Look at this amazing thing that we're doing. And it's not intended to actually result in expansion of Scientology. It's just intended to convince the existing members that their donations are being put to good use, that good use being getting out the good word of L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology. And there's not a whole lot of thought that goes into, is there going to be a return on this investment? Is this actually a good use of money? The concern is more, does it look like it's a good use of money? By the way, guys, I do see some super chats. I will answer the super chats at the end of the main body of this video, just so everyone knows. Okay, so let's go back to looking at the screen here. So what you're looking at here isn't DirecTV. It's Scientology.tv. Like they do have a website, and the programming and all the videos, and you'll see at the top here the schedule and the shows. It is identical. The shows and the programming on the website and DirecTV and YouTube are identical. The difference is that it doesn't cost $2 million a year to publish the content to their website. It doesn't cost $2 million a year to publish the content to YouTube. So let's look at Scientology's YouTube channel. This is Scientology's YouTube channel. Now, they have 82,000 subscribers. Now, guys, don't think about this too deeply. How does a worldwide cult that claims to have 10 to 15 million members and has, like literally, they claim to have 10 to 15 million members, and yet they have 82,000 subs on their YouTube channel? I have 145,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I've only been actively like concentrating on growing the channel for about 7 or 8 months. What would Scientology say? Where's your 15 million members? Or would you say they're not allowed to watch the internet? Okay. I guess I thought that was funny. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at some of these numbers. Let's look at some of the viewership numbers on Scientology's YouTube channel. Look, is this going to let me actually expand these things? Yeah. Okay. It's playing nice. Now look, when you see this Live Again Scientology Super Bowl, okay, that's a different language, but oh, that's 65 views. Okay. So they're just up. I'm looking for the one that has like 65 million views. We'll find it here. By the way, the fact that Scientology can upload anything to its channel and it only gets 65 views, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know. Here we go. 26 million views. Live Again, Church of Scientology, Super Bowl commercial, 26 million views. Now, Scientology spent millions of dollars to promote that video. And one of the ways I know they're promoting the video is because, drum roll please, they're literally promoting this video on the videos on my channel. Now, David Miscavige should be declared a suppressive person for financially supporting known SPs like myself. Okay. I'm a known Scientology declared me a suppressive person. And yet David Miscavige is literally paying me to do videos exposing Scientology's crimes. I mean, I guess it makes me wonder how YouTube ads even work. You would think that David Miscavige would be able to go, hey guys, can you please not put our ads on Aaron Smith-Levin's YouTube channel? And yet I know he also can't help himself. Part of the way they would be thinking about this is they want to inundate anybody on the internet who's watching Scientology content, who has, any metadata or whatever in their history of watching, ever looking up Scientology, Googling Scientology, clicking on a Scientology video. Those are the guys Miscavige wants to be inundated with Scientology ads. And yet by doing so, he's literally paying me to do Scientology videos. It's remarkable. So that's how I know they are pumping this ad out everywhere. 26 million views. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have any videos that have 26 million views. So they got me there, but I also don't pay to promote any of my videos. I only have one video. I do have one video that broke 2 million views, actually. And that's a video that I did about Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs fame. He interviewed a friend of his, former Scientologist named Spanky Taylor. I did a little 12-minute reaction video on my channel, and that puppy has like 2.2 million views, the most viewed video on my channel. So I might have more subscribers than Scientology, but boy, they've got me trumped with their little YouTube video here. Okay, so enough of all that. Oh, wait. Okay, bear with me here while I work on the little view thing. Okay, what's the next thing I looked up here? All right, here is the text message that I got from my inside source. Nothing here to reveal this person's identity. Not this time, Scientology, not this time. For your info, Scientology.tv initial deal for DirecTV channel was $10 million for 5 years, approved through AT&T board of directors. I thought that was interesting. Their station number is located in a group of numbers reserved for religious programming, televangelists, etc., which are mostly empty. So it was a good deal for AT&T. They were mid-negotiating with DirecTV when AT&T bought them. and the deal just went through at a cheaper cost. Now, I'll be honest, there's some questions that last statement raised with me that I've not been able to reconcile yet. And I haven't had an opportunity to clarify because I didn't realize until I was preparing for this video that there was something that didn't reconcile. I looked up because remember, the Scientology channel only launched almost exactly 5 years ago. So then I was like, when did AT&T buy DirecTV? And it looks like they bought DirecTV 9 years ago. So that made me wonder, did Scientology really negotiate this deal 4 to 5 years before they actually launched their programming? And if they did, what does that mean? Does that mean they might have actually straight up burned $8 to $10 million to secure the rights to this channel without putting up any content at all? Now, that's pure speculation. I just know that my source is an accurate source. And if he says the deal was negotiated right when AT&T was buying DirecTV, then that means the deal was negotiated in 2015. But, 2015. Okay, so, and then DirecTV, the Scientology network went live on DirecTV like March 12th, 2018. Okay, so they might have burned 2.5 to 3 years of programming fees, which would be absolutely incredible and brings us directly to the subject of why this would make me absolutely furious if I was still in Scientology. Now, take a look at this, guys. This is a list of Scientology organizations that have been trying to raise enough money to buy and renovate new buildings for their existing organizations for 18 to 19 years. And by the way, these are just the ones left in the United States. There's about 30 to 40 Scientology organizations in the United States. And I'll change the view here real quick. And in about 2004, 2005, more or less, Miscavige launched this new strategy in Scientology called the Ideal Organization Strategy. And this was supposed to be Miscavige's handling to accelerate the expansion of Scientology so that OT 9 and 10 can be released. Now, guys, I don't like to assume that everyone watching my videos, knows the content of the previous videos. In Scientology, they have a bridge to total freedom. The upper half of this bridge are confidential levels called the OT levels, or the operating thetan levels. This is where Scientologists learn about Xenu and the body thetans that you've heard about on South Park and so many other places. Currently, Scientology's bridge to total freedom goes up to OT 8. That's the highest OT level that you can do. But David Miscavige has told everybody that before L. Ron Hubbard died, he wrote up, he finished, he completed, and he ready to release OT 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now, OT 8 was released sometime, I always get this wrong a little bit, but sometime around 86, 87, 88, or something like that. And ever since then, Miscavige has come up with these things that have to be accomplished before OT 9 and 10 can be released. And he keeps moving the goalposts because what Miscavige knows that Scientologists don't know is there is no OT 9 and 10. L. Ron Hubbard never left behind anything, no instructions, no nothing for these upper OT levels. And in fact, when L. Ron Hubbard died, just before he died, he said, "I have failed." He said, "I have failed," because up until the day he died, he was still trying to get rid of his body thetans, which is what you're supposed to be done doing on OT 7. Okay. So we're getting a little bit into the weeds here, but I just like people to understand the significance of what does it mean when we're talking about OT 9 and 10 and what Scientologists think they're trying to do in present day, in the world of Scientology on Earth. Scientologists believe that the reason they're working so hard and they're putting in so many hours and they're giving so much money and they're turning their children over to the Sea Organization is to expand Scientology so that OT 9 and 10 can be released, so that Scientology can save the spirit of every man, woman, and child on this planet, not only on this planet, but in this galaxy and in the universe. I mean, let's be honest, guys, this is what Scientologists think they're doing in and with Scientology. Okay, so in 2004, Miscavige created this basically new game, this new campaign, this new strategy of, okay, we're going to buy massive, brand new, expensive buildings for every church of Scientology in the world. And once that's done, we'll release OT 9 and 10. That was 20 goddamn years ago. Sorry, excuse my French, guys. That was almost 20 years ago. Almost every single year, Miscavige convinces Scientologists that next year, OT 9 and 10 are going to be released. Okay, so what the heck am I talking about all this for? All it takes to finish the ideal org strategy is money. That's all it takes, money. And Miscavige has insisted, he's implemented a rule that all these new buildings can only be purchased with new money. Miscavige will not dip into Scientology's reserves. It will not, every now and then he'll use IAS money, which is a special pot of money that Scientology has, supposed to be set aside for lawsuits and stuff like that, or special expansion items. Miscavige has claimed that this ideal org strategy, this is why this would piss me off if I was still in Scientology, this DirecTV $2 million, $2 million a year deal. Miscavige has claimed that this ideal org strategy is the strategy to expand Scientology and release OT 9 and 10. Releasing OT 9 and 10 is supposed to be the thing that has to be done to basically save all mankind. And yet it all comes down to money. And these 9 orgs here in the United States have not been able to raise enough money in the last 18 years to accomplish their piece of the ideal org strategy. And yet $2 million is more than it would take to finish the ideal org strategy for any one of these orgs. And so to think that Miscavige is just burning $2 million a year to put content that Scientology's already created and is already being published 3 or 4 other different places, burning $2 million a year just to broadcast that content on DirecTV, a platform that is dying, on a channel nobody watches. If I was a staff member in one of these 9 US orgs that has been working my guts out for 18 years to raise enough money to open our ideal org, and I found out that Miscavige was just burning $2 million a year on DirecTV for just, you know, this for nothing, I would be furious. And guys, and this is just the United States. I mean, the United States orgs are the United States as a totality is closer to finishing its ideal org strategy than any of the other Scientology continents. I mean, yeah, that's, and that, I could be wrong about that. Statistically speaking, like, for example, Africa or South Africa is considered a Scientology continent, and there's only like 5 or 6 orgs there. So statistically speaking, maybe Africa is closer to finishing its ideal org strategy than the United States. But as far as number of orgs completed, the United States has finished a lot more orgs than any other Scientology continent. I'm highlighting this, and I'm going to beat this horse a little bit, because this is one of the things where it would be possible for Scientologists to think about this for a few minutes and immediately realize, oh, I'm being screwed, aren't I? We are all collectively being screwed, aren't we? We're being lied to, aren't we? Uh-oh, I might need to back up a little bit and think about some things and start to wonder, okay, what else am I being lied to and screwed about? The ideal org strategy and how it has failed and how it has been protracted for so many years is arguably, in my opinion, one of the easiest things you could shove in a Scientologist's face and go, don't you see how you're being lied to and screwed? And so that's why I'm going to belabor this point for a little bit. For you poor Scientologists in Albuquerque, Philadelphia, Battle Creek, Puerto Rico, New Haven, and some of these orgs I know are like tiny little outposts of organizations like New Haven. You know, I can't believe Boston is on this list. Boston used to be one of the most biggest, booming, thriving Scientology orgs in the entire world. And now they're in such a sad state of affairs. They haven't been able to raise enough money in 18 years to buy and renovate a new building. It really is quite sad. So, but for all you poor staff members in these orgs, what do you think about the fact that this ideal org strategy is supposed to be the strategy to get OT 9 and 10 released? And Miscavige has allowed the strategy to drag on for 18 years. When there was enough money in the bank 18 years ago to complete the ideal org strategy within 12 to 24 months. Do you see how you're being lied to and screwed? It truly is remarkable. And I don't even say it in a condescending manner of like, how can you not see how you're being screwed? I know how hard it is when you're in the bubble to even consider that you're being misled, deceived, lied to. Because when I was in the bubble, it never occurred to me that these things were happening. It's a little embarrassing to admit. When I look back and I remember all of the ridiculous things that we would be told at the international events, various expansion statistics, various societal accomplishments, recidivism in Mexico goes to 0. Crime in Colombia goes to 0 for the first time, thanks to the Way to Happiness booklet. I'm exaggerating, but not that much. Even when we would be told absolutely insane things at events like that, I 100% believed them. It didn't even cross my mind that it was possible something we were told at an event could be false. And so that's why I just want to reiterate when I go, do you see how you're being screwed and lied to? I know how hard it is to see things like that. But it's also one of the reasons why I do these videos. Because sometimes something that's obvious and is right in front of your face and you should already see it, sometimes it becomes obvious only once someone else who's sort of at a distance kind of points it out to you. Maybe when you're that close to it, it is just that hard to see. Okay, was there anything else here? I did just put a couple list of talking points together. Nope. I touched on all my talking points that I wanted to hit. Okay, guys, I'm just going to quickly go through the super chats right here, and then we'll wrap it up, guys. By the way, I saw that Mike and Mark and Claire did a fantastic Q&A on Mark's channel. So if you haven't had a chance to catch that, I definitely recommend it. Okay, Kitty Mom, this is great. I didn't have to spend a second thinking about what to watch next when Mike, Mark, and Claire's stream ended. Yes, I'm glad the timing on it worked out. I was watching their stream, and then it sounded like their stream was about to end, and so I started getting ready for my stream, but I actually forgot to make sure that their stream had officially ended before I started mine, so I'm glad I didn't step on any toes there. Okay, F. Shopes, did Scientology become a trend similar to how it was amongst middle-class Americans in the 1950s in other countries? Hold on. Did Scientology become a trend similar to how it was? I honestly don't know. I was born in 1980. I feel like the answer is almost certainly yes, but I don't know exactly how you would define what would it have to rise to meet the definition of a trend. Scientology was very fashionable, I think, in like the new age, free thinking, sort of hippie, anti-establishment times and areas. That's what I've been told by people. Scientology, before it became a little more militant and very controlling your behavior, like Scientology wasn't exactly like that in the 60s and 70s. That's something that gradually became more and more the case after L. Ron Hubbard created the Sea Organization. And then, the Sea Organization had its own militant sort of morality. And even though the Sea Org rules only apply, strictly speaking, to Sea Org members, that sort of morality and culture and way of operating and thinking and regulating behavior and thought and emotions and information and everything, that had its kind of a trickle-down effect down to staff members and then down to the public. And then it became kind of a cultural thing, where Scientology was now really about controlling behavior, when back in the 60s and 70s, it honestly wasn't. You talk to people who got into Scientology as public Scientologists in the 60s and the 70s, and it really wasn't about controlling behavior. It really didn't have this kind of militant, very punitive ethics and justice system. These are things that came into being after L. Ron Hubbard created the Sea Organization. So, I feel like I didn't directly answer your question. I'm not entirely qualified to answer that question, but I hope I gave you at least some information. Thank you, F. Shobes. Always good to see you in the chat. Sue Prost, did you know that the Scientology building in LA was used in a Three Stooges short made in 1934? No way. It's at the beginning called Men in Black. Oh, that's incredible. I hope someone, I don't know that I'll be able to find that. Someone, Sue, send me a link if you can find a link to that. growingupinscientology@gmail.com. That's awesome. Okay, Rose K, 8 a.m. Australia Eastern Daylight Time. I don't know. Leaving an abusive domestic relationship so similar to leaving a cult. Yes. SPTV, Dirty Cracker Lickers has helped so much. Well, thank you so much, Rose. I'm sorry to hear what you're going through. I'm glad to hear that you're leaving it, and glad to hear that our content helps you in even the smallest way. That really is part of the goal here. Thank you very much. Okay, Jack Blakely. I thought it was going to say Balake. Jack Blakely, thank you for the super sticker, Jack. I appreciate that. The Midnight Show. Do you think that they buy views for their channel? 100%. They buy views for their channel. Love your video from Brighton. You know, my middle daughter is named Brighton, so I've got a lot of love for the name and the town, the city Brighton. 100% they buy the views, which also is something that would, you know, piss me off. They won't. They don't. You know, they don't pay their staff, but they'll pay to inflate the view count on their videos to accomplish absolutely nothing. You know. Okay. Angel Boostar. Hi, Aaron from the Shetland Islands. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Angel. Always happy to have an audience in the Shetland Islands. I have to visit there one day. I've been to Scotland. I've been to Edinburgh. I was actually in Edinburgh. Is it the Fringe Festival? Is the Fringe Festival the big arts festival that they have there? It was just a coincidence that I was there at that time. But really cool experience. And then there's that bar there. Is at the End of the World bar. It's like the longest, most continuously, the longest continuously operating bar, like I think in the world. Anyway, it was an awesome experience, and I expect to be going back there soon. Thanks again, Angel. Okay, here's another one. The Midnight Show. Love your channel. I hated when the Regis used to take advantage of elderly Scientologists from their savings just to buy those ideal org buildings. Oh, 100%. Such a ripoff. Sad. Used to be a bookstore officer and shout back at the new era rep. Oh my goodness. I swear to God, I have always felt that being the bookstore officer was one of the hardest. One of the posts in the Scientology org I would want to have the least, even less so than being a registrar, which I was never a sales staff. I was never a Div 2 sales staff. I was never a Div 6 sales staff. I was only ever in Div 4 and Div 5. And I always thought that the bookstore officer had the most difficult job in the organization. At least the registrar is where people have to go when they want to buy courses or auditing. The bookstore officer just has to wander around pestering people to buy books. Oh, I always felt bad for the bookstore officer. But I'll tell you what, Reg is taking advantage of elderly Scientologists to donate to anything is one of Scientology's Achilles heels, criminally speaking and civilly speaking, because all of these protections that Scientology has in the courts by virtue of their tax-exempt religious status, none of those protections apply to abuse of elders. At the Aftermath Foundation, when we are helping people who leave Scientology who are 65 years old and over, in other words, that's the legal definition of elderly, and there are financial crimes that have been committed, identity theft, credit card fraud, we have been extremely successful in introducing those people to the right lawyers, the right regulators, the right authorities to not only be made whole financially, but to move forward with lawsuits. So anyone and everyone who either is or knows someone that is 65 years old or over and has been ripped off financially by Scientology, send them my way. Send them my way. I mean, you can send them to the you can always send them to the Aftermath Foundation. But I would actually say it's better if you actually just send them to me personally, because strictly speaking, the role of the Aftermath Foundation is not to help people in lawsuits. The role of the foundation is to help people leave Scientology. But if all you want is an introduction to the right attorney, just email me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. Scientology's been cutting a lot of checks lately, and we intend to make them cut an awful lot more to make these people whole. Thank you, Midnight Show. Thank you very much. Appreciate the super chat. Okay, LJ Vesterspiel, Vespertiel. I like saying Vesterspiel. Algorithm question. Thank us for watching until the end. Any value in clicking into Scientology channel video? Oh, is there any value in clicking into a Scientology channel video and then immediately leaving? Or does any click and partial watching help them? Guys, so I understand your question. I'm going to answer it this way. No one's getting into Scientology because of Scientology's YouTube channel. So I almost Whereas, yes, you might hurt their performance in the algorithm by clicking on their channel and then immediately clicking off onto one of my videos. Like, okay, if you search Scientology and you click on one of their videos and immediately click off onto one of my videos, that would actually help my channel in the algorithm. It would tell the algorithm when I search Scientology, what I was really looking for was growing up in Scientology, not Scientology. So yeah, you can hurt them in the algorithm, but honestly, even if you accidentally help them in the algorithm, it's not going to help them in the world. Do you get what I'm saying? You get what I mean? Thank you, LJ Vespertile. Much appreciated. Although I do still prefer saying Vesterpeel because it just feels right. All right, LK Niche. LK Niche is a frequent flyer. Love seeing you in here every time, LK Niche. Thank you for the super sticker. That's very generous and much appreciated. Okay, let's see. I see another one here. Michelle Grant, how has your Scientology experience influenced your views on religion? Has anyone ever told you you look like a handsome version of Chris Elliott? Oh my God, I'm a huge fan of Chris Elliott. And now that you mention that, I see what you're saying. Oh my God, I love Chris Elliott. What was that show that he was in with the most recent one? It's huge. The one about, well, let me just pull it up. Huge. Schitt's Creek. Oh my God, I love Schitt's Creek. And Chris Elliott is so funny in that show. I watched Chris Elliott way back in the day when he had that I'm going to forget. He had his own network show. I'm going to forget what it is, and I don't want to Google it right now. Okay, but your real question here, how has Scientology influenced your view on religion? You know, I'm not religious. I do not look down on religion or religious people, but there's a 0% chance that I would ascribe to any other religious belief. So I would say it definitely has influenced it. But one of the important things to mention here is that even when I was in Scientology, I didn't consider myself to be religious. It's one of the reasons why I'm so kind of forceful when I say Scientologists don't believe in God. You can do backflips and jump through hoops and twist yourself into a pretzel to explain how perhaps a Scientologist could still believe in a supreme being, and that's all fine and dandy, but the fact is they don't. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in a supreme being. And so it's not necessarily accurate for me to go, oh, Scientology Scientology destroyed religion for me. I didn't really feel religious when I believed in Scientology. You know what I mean? So I hope I answered your question. Thank you for that, Michelle. I appreciate it. Okay, I see Jaded Neko. Does Captain Keebler Mickey Witch's tree lose property value every time he claims it is not his real address? That is a really good question, because it's probably like Warren Buffett, where he lives in a house that wouldn't be worth so much other than the fact that it's Warren Buffett's house. So yeah, I would imagine that, you know, Captain Keebler, Scientology's boss baby, the tiny diminutive David Miscavige, I would have to imagine that every time he denies that that tree really is his home, that it would probably affect the appraised value of that home. I never thought of that. That's a great point. Thank you, Jaded Neko. I appreciate that. S. Dot, what happened with the Scientology PIs on your street? Have they been disturbing you in other ways? So as soon as it was brought to my attention that these PIs had been hanging out, and by the way, when it was brought to my attention, it was brought to my attention that these PIs have been hanging out for months. And I was given photographs of photographs that had been taken over many months. And the reason nobody had informed me earlier is they all thought that I already knew. They're like, oh, of course he knows. And one person was like, guys, I really don't think that he knows. They're like, if he knew, he'd be doing videos about it. And I'm like, you're damn right I'd be doing videos about it. So the police were called on the PIs, basically because the PIs just seemed like creepy old men hanging outside my neighbors' homes in cars all day. So the police were called. The police spoke to these PIs. They identified themselves as PIs. They gave BS reasons for what they would be doing on my block. And, you know, my neighbors would actually confront the PIs in their cars and take photos and everything. And once I put the word out to everybody, in a 3-block radius, gave everybody my cell number, I said, guys, you don't understand. This is my dream come true. my dream come true is to be able to pounce on one of these guys with my camera rolling. I mean, come on, guys, throw me a bone. Don't take a picture of them. Pick up the phone and call me. I don't care. I said, so once I put the word out to everybody, I said, here's my cell. Call me anytime, day or night. You see any one of these guys parked outside your house, please let me know. Within a day and a half, the PIs had totally disappeared. And they still do drive-bys, but doing a drive-by is not enough time for somebody to get out their camera or for me to ambush them. So for right now, the PI activity has been extremely quiet. But believe me, if that changes, you guys will know. Okay. Annette Janot. Annette Ginate. Janot? I like Janot. Do you know what happened to Doug Kramer's channel? Okay, so first of all, Doug Kramer does have a new channel. Sometimes Goldie posts it in the chat here, and I encourage everybody to go subscribe to Doug Kramer's new channel. My understanding when I spoke to Doug, what he explained, his channel did not get nuked because of Scientology content. His channel got nuked because he had uploaded a bunch of what like non-Scientology content, like some documentaries and stuff that was copyright protected. And if you get 3 copyright strikes on your channel within a certain amount of time, your channel's getting nuked, no matter who you are or what you're doing, or regardless of anything else. So it wasn't Scientology. Scientology was not the reason his channel got nuked, is my understanding. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Okay, I see another one here. Joshua Turnage. Former Ukrainian Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk is a Scientologist. His sister in America was one. I don't hear word of world leader in Scientology. I'm going to have to look into this and do a video about it. I remember at some Scientology event, there was mention of this guy who had played some sort of a role in some revolution over there in the Eastern European nations. I do not remember an actual prime minister having had some involvement in Scientology. But even if his sister, even if it's true that a prime minister's sister is a Scientologist, that's definitely newsworthy. And I'm sure it might have been mentioned somewhere, but I don't remember hearing any actual coverage about this. So Joshua, if you would not mind emailing me a few links to any material I can use to start my little rabbit hole dive on this subject, send it to growingupinscientology@gmail.com and I'll see what I can do with it. That's awesome. Yeah, I hope there's something interesting there. Okay, let's see. I see another one here. Pug. I'm not against using companies or people that are in Scientology, but is there a way to know for sure the company is with them? Easiest way to know if someone's in Scientology is to put in someone's name into Google and then write Scientology service completions. There's an online database that somebody has kept quite reasonably up to date of all of the names that appear in Scientology's various magazines of people who have completed courses and auditing. So if you go Joe Blow Scientology service completions and you put that into Google, you will almost always get results for someone if they have had any history in Scientology. Another way to do it is to email me their name or message me their name. I tend to have dozens, if not hundreds of friends in common with most Scientologists, largely because many of these Scientologists forgot to unfriend me before they blocked me. So even if I can't see their profile, they still show up as a mutual friend when I look at another Scientologist profile. So if I look up someone's name and I have 38 friends in common with them and most of them are Russian, then I go, that's a Scientologist. Yeah, there's your answer. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Alyssa Warner, unrelated, but I'm finally catching live. What rank are you now at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Miss getting to see your belt hanging in the background. I have been stalled at a 4-stripe blue belt for over a year now because I have not been training very much. My shoulder, my lower back, I sprained my ankle outside of class. Between my shoulder, my right hip flexor is usually killing me. between my shoulder and my hip and my back and my ankle. I just have not been training. And then I feel bad when I'm going to start returning to training, but I know there's a promotion ceremony coming up in like a month. And I feel like, oh, everyone's going to think I'm just coming back because I'm hoping to get a promotion. And so then I'll stay away until the promotion ceremony has passed. And then anyway, literally in the last 2 years, I'd be shocked if I've even trained 15 times. So, but I'm dedicated to competing. I competed at 4-stripe white belt and I won gold in my division. And I told myself that I would want to compete at every belt before getting promoted, just so I feel like I deserve getting promoted. So I need to get back in there, do enough training that I'm ready to compete, and then do a competition, and then I'll be that's kind of my next path. But I'll tell you, once I get to purple belt, I will feel like I have accomplished everything I ever intended to accomplish in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like for me, purple belt is the top of the mountain. I don't ever expect to put in enough hours and years to get to black. And, you know, and once you're at purple, you can be at purple for a long time. So thank you for asking. And I stopped hanging them on the wall because I just felt like it was sort of being a pick-me girl. You have to Google what being a pick-me girl is. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. Lori plays. We need to meet up for lunch sometime. My treat. We should meet up for lunch sometime. Lori went to, I'll tell you what, the next time there's a hearing in the Baxter Paris case, maybe we'll both go to that hearing and we'll grab a bite over in Tampa. How's that, Lori? That would be a lot of fun. Thank you for the super chat. Always good to see you in here. Okay, I see another one here. Christoph Keating. Have you heard of Ron Zorg? They supposedly have OT levels up to 40. Yes, and I also hear that Santa Claus's elves are working very hard up in the North Pole right now, getting ready for Christmas. So Ron Zorg is an establishment in the independent Scientology world, and the fact that anybody pretends to have any OT levels is like, you know, somebody pretending to have Santa Claus on retainer, as far as I'm concerned. So I just don't have, yeah. I mean, don't get me started. Thank you, Christoph. I appreciate it. Lydia Von Stretchclaw. Hey, Ron, maybe it would increase the value of the property if he wasn't associated with it. That's a strong point you make there. No amount of sage is going to cleanse that pad. That is very true. I mean, the apple orchard, the HOA for the apple orchard where Miscavige has his Keebler tree. If I was the president of that HOA, I would be trying to get Miscavige out of there as fast as possible. Thank you, Lydia. Okay, let's see. I'm skipping that one because, yeah, let's not stir it. Anything up more than needs to be stirred up. Did you know, and but by the way, so Sarah L., even though I'm not going to read your question out loud, I don't think our views do differ that much. I think we just differ in what we say publicly. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Clearwater Chad. Did you know Clearwater Chad found your brother, B. Braun? He is a guest on the Clearwater Chad channel. Well, I'll tell you what, everybody go check out Clearwater Chad's YouTube channel. Clearwater Chad has a very funny satirical channel satirizing Tampa Brad. And Clearwater Chad, I haven't seen your B. Braun video, but it sounds funny, and I will check it out later this evening. Thank you for the super chat. Always good to see you in the chat. Clearwater Chad. Okay, Christine. So how many Scientologists go on the internet and see your content or the Scientology website? So I would say all Scientologists who are not Sea Org members go on the internet. The only Sea Org members have their actual access to the internet regulated. Any Scientologist is allowed to go on the internet. I would take it a step further and say they all go on YouTube. I would take it a step further and say if they're on YouTube, they're seeing my videos. Now, it's okay if they see my videos popping up in their feed. It's not okay if they watch them. If they just see the video popping up, even if they accidentally click on it and then click off of it, they're not going to get in trouble for that. Now, Scientology does have filters, and I just honestly don't know present day how much Scientology actually insists on its members putting filters on their devices. We should ask Kate Olson about that. It's not something I've heard about. No one's mentioned that to me in quite a long time. Sea Org members have filters on their devices when they're allowed to have devices. I've not actually heard of staff members, much less public, having filters on their devices. Scientologists know who I am. I mean, case in point, I was at the gym not that long ago, and I was just minding my own business. There was a bunch of other young guys in there. Someone comes up to me and says, "Are you famous?" And I was like, my first thought is, how do I answer that question? Like, I might, because I go, if you know who I am, I have an idea of how you might know who I am. So I started, I was like, I hesitated. I'm like, well, not really. And then I said, oh, I have a YouTube channel. And he goes, oh, I know who you are. I'm a Scientologist. I was like, okay. I mean, fine. But that's just an example. He was a young Scientologist. I'd never met him before. I've never seen him. He doesn't know me personally, but he knew who I was instantly by seeing me because he'd seen my stuff. And then him and his friends very quickly moved to a machine on the other side of the gym from where I was. Okay. Thank you for that, Christine. I do see another one here. LK Niche. My brother won the world belt in the early 1980s. I was so happy for him. Wow. That's a big deal. Now I want to know who your brother is. Shoot me an email. Let me know who your brother was. That's super cool. Okay. This looks like it might be the last one. Ken Grover. MSO, supposedly there is a Scientology place in my town of Bangor, Maine. No sign out front, but seems to have cars there every day. It looks sketch. Ken, that might be a Scientology mission. I can tell you it's not a Scientology org. And missions, you'll hear me say sometimes missions don't even count because they're privately owned. They're tiny. They can open up. They can close. They close down all the time. Whereas a real Scientology org, with very few exceptions, can never and will never close. Only David Miscavige can close an org. Missions close all the time. They don't need management approval, to close. If they close, they close. And management's never going to swoop in and save a mission because they're privately owned. Scientology doesn't own the missions. By the way, I do not know what MSO means. MSO. I'll have to look that one up. Thank you, Ken. Okay, so Penko, do you or your wife miss anything about Scientology? Thank you. The only thing we miss about Scientology is the friend group that we had, but we have a fantastic friend group outside of Scientology. But it's just that there are people who were really good friends of ours who, when we were in Scientology, who it would be nice to be able to see them and talk to them again. But as far as Scientology itself, I'd have to say no. Thank you, Penko. Much appreciated. Okay, I do see. Oop, I clicked the wrong thing. Bagpiper Burke, relatively new to your channel. Thank you for all you've done. I was on staff at LA Org for about a year. They did me and others dirty, so I bounced. Very interesting. I'd be curious to know what years you were on staff, and were you on staff there when Tom Cruise's son, Connor Cruise, was on staff? You don't hear many mentions of Connor Cruise having served for years as a staff member at Scientology's Los Angeles organization in the ethics department, which means he knew all the dirt. And they do people dirty with the dirt. Okay, Joe Cognac. Wow, that's a big super chat, Joe. Thank you. There is a mission in Brunswick, Maine. I'm really curious, Joe, if there's any way for you to find out or let me know, email me at Growing Up in Scientology. These missions out there, what are their hours of operation? And is it an actual storefront? Like, is it in a strip mall, or is it like the first floor of a house? Is like the mission owner, the mission holder lives upstairs, but the mission is downstairs? Do you know what I mean? It's like one of these dual service property things. All right, everybody. Holy cow, 48 minutes. I thought we were going to go for like 10 or 15. All right, everybody. That's all we got. Let me hide this comment. Hope you enjoyed this latest segment of SP TV. Blowing away Scientology TV in the ratings. And anyway, thanks for sticking in there and watching with me, you guys. That's probably all I'm going to do for today. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe